Assalamu alaikum guys, and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about another C# 10 feature named as file scope namespaces. Usually we write classes under a namespace in C# projects. In C# 10 they are trying to simplify those nested definition of classes inside namespace. So let's try to understand what does it means. I have created another project inside my C# new features, which I have explained in the previous session. I have added another project, file scope namespaces. Now what I am trying to demonstrate, a very simple way. I have created entities folder, and assuming there are some student related entities inside that one. Sorry, I have put the wrong name. Let me rename it student entities. Now, within this class student entities, I have defined a namespace which is file scope namespace. That's my project name, and I'm using entities folder, so it is doing nested namespace entities. I have defined two classes inside this namespace. One is student entity and the other one is course entity. I'm not going into the details of its properties. It could be anything, so just trying to give you the concept. So here it is doing indentation, which is creating a nested indentation inside namespace. What file scope namespaces says, instead of defining this namespace and creating a body of this namespace like this, what you can do, you can remove. I'm just trying to cut these classes here. So what you can do, you can remove the body of the namespace, and at the top of the file you can define namespace. Of course, whenever you are defining namespace, you have to use namespace keyword, and then after that you have to put the name of the namespace, and again this is a statement terminator, which is explaining the name has been defined. So now all the classes or the code within the file, which is having a namespace defined on the at the top of the file, it will be implicitly underneath this namespace, file scope namespaces dot entities. For example, I have defined this class and this class, and if I want to use these two classes, let's assume in program.cs. For example, let's try to create object of student entity. So it will be underneath file scope namespaces dot entities namespace, which we have defined. So that's how you can define file scope namespaces. There is one very important point here. Sometimes we are trying to define multiple namespaces inside a class, which is not very common pattern, but some people does. So for example, what will happen, will it work or not? So let's try to see. Let's assume what I will do, I will try to demonstrate. For example, I am doing another courses student courses namespace, right? And I'm trying to put this class inside student courses namespace. Now if you have used file scope namespaces, then it doesn't work. What does it mean? Because this namespace is implicitly applied on all the classes or objects or enums, whatever you are defining in this file, that will be underneath this space. If you want to do this way, then what you need to do, you need to do old way, which is trying to define namespaces explicitly. Now it will work. So that's an important point, so you need to consider it. So if you want to define multiple namespaces, then it's if I would be doing it, I would be doing it into separate classes, so that one file or one particular folder could contain different namespaces. So try to clean the code. But that's an important takeaway in this file scope namespaces tutorial. So that's one thing. The other thing, for example, some people have asked me, can we define multiple file scope namespaces or not? So the answer is no, because usually in one file you are defining all the C# objects underneath one namespace. So for example, if I just want to say I want to define courses as a second one, and then see will it work or not. Let's try to remove the parentheses. Let's do the formatting and then see. It starts complaining about the second defined namespace. It says source file can only contain one file scope namespace declaration. So as I have explained previously, you cannot have multiple file scope namespaces in one file. So the error has gone. So if I try to compile this one, this should work. It's a very basic concept, and it's good for the people who doesn't like quite a lot of indentation. So it will reduce one nested level, and it's good for the code beautification and code readability. So yeah, so the project is building successfully. So yeah, that's a very simple concept. So hopefully you have learned another new concept in C# and features. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel and like it and tell me in comments. Thank you very much.